Hello, welcome to Nico Props. I'm Chris Fry, also known as Nicodemus. So today what we're going to be doing is going through making glow-in-the-dark badges that are like this, basically. So we have a couple of these I've done for the local bonfire society. We've got a blue one, which you can't see until we turn the lights off, which we'll be doing a little bit later on, a green one, and also a purple one. Just to show you what these powders are like when you mix them in with a resin like Easy Flow 60, which is what I'll be using from MB Fibreglass. So let's get to it. Let's do some casting and show you how to make the badges. So today we are going to be doing a casting of a badge. This is the badge. Okay, and this is all for the local bonfire society, New Haven Bonfire Society in East Sussex. And I make these glow in the dark. So the options for glow in the dark, you buy basically powders. So we've got the Aqua by SFXC. These are available on Amazon. And there's the green, and we've got a purple as well. Now the thing is with these different powders is the green and the Aqua seem to glow the best. The purple doesn't seem to glow very well. I've tried some other powders as well, and they don't seem to glow very well, and the particle size makes a difference when you're casting as well. If you buy a cheap powder, the powder has a greater tendency to sink. These still sink in the resin, but I'm going to address that by, rather than mounting my mould upright like I normally would, I'm going to mount it that way instead, and that should hopefully address that. Now, when I've been casting these before, I've been getting air bubble at the bottom edge. So what I've done is I've made a little tilt table, and I think that's because my mould is it's not level, and it rises up at the back edge here. So by tilting it, hopefully the air will come up to here. But I've also, using a drill, drilled a couple of holes in my silicone mould to let some air out of the bottom edge. So hopefully that'll help this time. I'm not going to cast the purple. I've already got one cast, which is this one, and I'm going to show you the glow a little bit later on. What we're going to do, we're going to cast probably the Aqua actually. The Bonfire Society that we have in New Haven, its jumpers are kind of a teal colour, blue and green. Now I think this Aqua kind of goes best with that jumper, so we're going to do some of those today. I might do a green as well, just to show you what that actually looks like. And obviously I've got the purple already, so we can see that. So glow powder is what we need for that. So we mix that with a polyurethane resin. Now this is Easy Flow 60 Polytech. It comes under other brand names. I bought this at FB Fibreglass, as we can see. For the black lines, I'm just going to use a very cheap acrylic with a brush, and I'll show you the technique for doing that. I'm going to need our silicone mould and scales, latex gloves as usual, mixing sticks, and I've got some espresso cups for mixing the resin in. We don't need a lot of resin in this one. I think it's about, oh, I didn't write it down on the pieces of wood. I think it's about 9 grams for each badge. We'll see. So the mould is slightly different to the usual moulds I made. I've left the master in here. So this is the master. Okay, so the master I laser cut, and then I laser engraved it to get the writing on it, and then I simply did it the same way I do other 2-part silicone block moulds. I embedded it in some plasticine, I filled it up with silicone, I let that set, turned it over, and I peeled off the silicone. Now this is where it differs slightly. I had already cut a small hole in the back, so if I hold that up to the camera, you can see there's a pin in there. And the idea is we get one of these fasteners and we can attach like so to the pin. Okay, and that's how people pin them to themselves. So I left a little hole and I super glued one of the pins in there. I then silicone release sprayed it as usual. I also, you can see there's a blob of something there. What that is super glue and a straw, just a drinking straw that I use to create that hole for pouring my resin. Poured in my resin, my silicone to make the other part of the mold. Now when I did that, what it did was it created this hole in the mold, so that fits perfectly like that. And the idea is when I actually come to cast, I've got packs of these pins and packs of the backs as well. You can buy these fairly cheaply on eBay. And I just put the pin into the back like that, so it's protruding ever so slightly from the mold. Okay, as you can see. Now that is ready for molding. Put the mold back together. Move my master out of the way from the badge. Put it on the board. The board, as I said, has got a tilt on the back of it to tilt it up, so hopefully the air should come up to the top here. Well, what I'm going to do as well when I actually cast is just hold the mold down in place, because you know it's going to be quite tricky for me to do this. Actually, what I might do is put a couple of elastic bands around that. So let's do that. Don't seem to have two, so let's not do that. Let's go around behind the camera, get some bands off the hook here. So, elastic bands, right. So these obviously are going to need double or tripling up, so let's triple these up actually. And put one of these bands on one side, like that. Squishing the mould down a little bit, but that's fine. Don't mind a little bit of warp. Triple this band up again. Put it around the other side. Like so. And making sure it's on either side of my wedge. So that what that's going to do is going to push the mould down together and stop, hopefully, too much on the flashing. So that's my mould ready. Let's put that to one side. Get my powder. Now then, we know it's 9 grams of the resin that I need, which means I need probably between I'd probably say about 10%, 10 to 20%. So that's about 1 to 2 grams of powder. So what I'll do, just to make it easier, I'll weigh up some of that separate to the main stuff. So one scoop, that's 3.5 grams, alright? That's probably a bit too much. No, let's just stick with 3.5 grams, I think. That's fine. That'll make a good glow in the dark badge. Actually, change my mind. That's 1.5. That's 2.5 in there. 2.5 grams. That should be plenty. Let's put that there. Now, interestingly, glow in the dark powder, you charge it with either daylight or ultraviolet light. So let me get the ultraviolet torch I got in the office. This is an ultraviolet torch. See the purple? So if I quickly charge that powder, should get a little bit of a glow on that. Tiny bit of glow. I've got the lights on for the camera, so you probably can't see that very well, but it definitely does glow in the dark. So that's my powder. Now I need the resin. Put a cup on, zero it again, put some gloves on, which would probably help. So one of the things I like to do is I keep my part A and part B separate. Okay, because if you put too much of one in, you can't take it back. So what have we got here? This is B. So put B on my cup, take another cup and put A on it so that I don't get mixed up. Okay. Right, so we need 9 grams. So that's 4.5 I need of each of these liquids, which is going to give me a little bit extra left over. Okay. So this is very careful to do this, and I do have a tendency to spill it. So, oh, look at that, 4.5 exactly. Can't get better than that. Okay, so that's the B. Let's do A, just in case there's a difference in the cup, so I'll zero it off again. Oh, now the A, I don't know why, don't know what it is with this particular bottle, but has a tendency to dribble. Hang on, before I do that, let me give it a quick shake. Just need to shake the resins first. I should have shook part B. Never mind, too late for that. That's 3. Four and a half. Okay. It's actually come up as 5, but that's fine. A little bit extra doesn't matter. So we have part A, part B. Let me get the scales out of the way. Those over the side, right. So there's my powder, part B. Let me turn that to the camera. Part A, there. Okay. So we take the powder and take a tongue depressor stick, which I don't need a whole stick, I only need a bit. Snap the stick in half, because it's why I use 2. Put a little bit of powder on the surface, just shake it in, and give that a stir. And this is part B. I just want to kind of mix it in so I don't have any lumps. And of course, because the two A and B aren't mixed together, I don't have any time pressures to get this mixed in. Okay. So that's mixed into my part B quite well. Okay, so let me bring the mould in, and then all I've got to do is mix these two parts together. Now then, I've only got about a 2-minute working time, so I need to cast this. Now this Easy Flow 60, it casts white. Now normally with glow in the dark stuff you would use a clear resin. So what I'm going to do is pinch the cup slightly to create a little pour spout, and keep stirring to keep the stuff moving. And I want to pour very carefully. I want the air to be able to escape. I don't want it to go in too quickly, but then I do have to work reasonably fast because of the cure time of the resin. And I'm just seeing, there we go, at the top, just as it starts to come out. Now, what I like to do, give it a little tamp. Now I can see, I don't know if you can see that on camera. Let me try and bring this up to the camera. on the bottom 2 holes you can see a little bit coming out from those air holes, which means hopefully there shouldn't be any air in my mould. But just in case, I like to tap it to bring the air, any air up. Now I'm just going to try and scrape this a little bit. So you can see that I'm filled right up to the spout and I have like a dribble left in the cup. Okay, so we need to wait for that to set. So according to the bottle, that is between 15 and 30 minutes. There we go, 15 and 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to come back when that is set and we'll demold that, and then we'll use the Dremel to clean it up. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, time to demold. Take these elastic bands off. And there is our badge. Now it's stuck in the mould because of this, because of the pour spout. Now what I should be able to do, if I'm careful, is effectively just break it off like that, leaving the pour spout in there. I can just peel off, put those bits in there, and you can see our pin is just sticking out there. But I've also got this sprue which I can just break off. But I've got a nub that I need to take care of. I can see by the colour, if you look at the colour compared to the back, you can see all the powders floated to the bottom, and I've got a couple of little knobbly bits there and there where I had my air holes, which we can see these little pins, which are kind of cool because they've taken on the shape of the drill bit that made them. I've got no air bubbles, which is fantastic. Now I've got a little bit of flashing on the edges, so I can take care of that just with an old toothbrush. Just brush around the edges, get rid of any of that flashing. Okay. Okay, so I've got a tiny air bubble in the corner there. I'm not overly worried about that. If I was that worried, I could fill it in with a spot of super glue or something like that. That's fine. If it was a bigger air bubble, then I'd have to mix up some resin to take care of that. So let me put the master back into the mould here. Keep that for later. Let's get these out of the way. Right, so what I need to do is put on my glasses, and I've got my Dremel, but I've also got it on one of these pen things, so just gonna turn it on quite slow. I've got a little sanding drum on there, so I'm just taking off these little nubs. Just smoothing it back. Just going to take off my goggles because I'm steaming up. That feels pretty good. Okay, we'll turn that off. So that is the little knobs removed. So that's nice as flush. So to save that pin digging in, I'm going to put the back on it, and that goes on like that. So let me put my latex gloves back on for the next stage, which is we need to get this black writing into this badge. So we need a paintbrush. Let me get the cups out of the way. Paintbrush, some water, and some black acrylic paint. Okay. So let's get some paint. I'm just going to put a blob there that I can get to. I need a little bit, and I'm going to bring in some blue roll, basically tissue paper. You could use that reinforced kitchen roll stuff. I wouldn't use normal kitchen roll because it will flake off, but essentially I'm going to roll this up like this. And right, so get my brush, get some paint on the brush, dab a bit off. So what I want to do is I want to kind of stipple the paint into the grooves, okay, into where I've engraved basically. I go all around the ship, making sure I stipple it into all of the lines that I've cut, into the 2017 at the top there, all the way around the side of the ship. In fact, I'm going to cover the whole face of the badge just to make sure I've got all of the lines in there, all covered in. So that's that covered. Then take some tissue and you literally just get to wiping it off. And that's as simple as that. Okay, so that's how you do that. So let me just get this off the edges. Just want to make sure that we don't have too much in the way of excess in different places. So it'll end up all the way on the back edge there. Using a bit of tissue we can get most of that off. Should just wipe off on the whole. And that is a finished badge. Next to the one that I did before. And there is another one, a green one. So that's the one that we've just done. That's the purple one, and this is a green one. Okay. So let me show you what these are like in different lights. So I'm going to change the camera angle so that I'm a bit more zoomed in on these badges, and turn these lights off and take a couple of shots of the badges. So, but when you've, just as a thing, when you've finished with your acrylics, just to save your brush, make sure you wash it out. Okay. Okay, so I've turned the camera lights off so that I can turn the main workshop light off easier. I've got my UV torch here, so I'm just going to charge these up. There's the green. There's the blue that we just did, and there's the purple. So I'm just going to give those a little bit of a charge. Make sure we get all of those. And then turn the light out in a second to show you what these are like. So that is what the glow's like. So we can see this purple is actually showing up a bit blue. And this one here, the teal, is the one that we've just done, and the green is one that I did earlier. So these are the different colours that you can get, and again you can just charge those up with a UV light like that, and that gives us a nice glow. The other, if you can't get one of these lights, you can use sunlight. Charge them up in sunlight, which is also a great thing to be able to do. I'm going to turn the lights back on. Oh, there we go. Another thing that you can do is you can get one of these clip lamps, one of these things that clips on somewhere, and then you can get yourself a UV bulb, which I have one here, which I should have got out of the packet beforehand. That is a UV bulb. Okay, and then clip it to a box, put whatever you want inside the box, and then you can simply just charge it up from that. Okay, so So that was casting glow-in-the-dark badges, which we can see here on my breast pocket there. I can charge those up. So very easy to do. I wouldn't say that they were super cheap, but they're great for Halloween, if you know what I mean. You can do statues and things like that with them as well. I've done statues before. I'll do another video for that as well. In an ideal world, when casting these, you would use a clear resin, because of the fact that the resin basically sinks to the bottom. Not the resin, sorry, the powder sinks to the bottom. With the clear resins, you can get more glow from the stuff that's suspended in the middle. So effectively, yeah, use a clear resin. If you're going to use a clear resin as well, you may want to add an accelerator. This will speed up the cure time and basically means that the powder has less time to sink. So yeah, there we go. Lessons learned. I didn't use an accelerator because I had trouble getting hold of one, and the resin that I ordered they stopped doing, as well as the accelerators, so I just used what I had on hand, which is the white resin, so which is the Easy Flow 60. Thanks for watching the video, and I'm hoping to release a few more shortly, especially on the Ed 209 project, the life size Ed 209 project. That's coming out soon. Like the page up here on my right. And check out some of the other videos that I'm going to post up either side of me just here. So let's have another look at these badges before I go. Looking cool.